Scorpios, how are you doing? You have the Shadow and the Judge, the Storm and the Mother, the Bridge, the Flame, and the Vessel. Oy vey. Scorps. Well, you know, I feel like the judgment is concerning this vessel of, do I build it or do I break it? So I feel like there's something that's cracked and there's a judgment being made of like, can this be fixed? I think that this question of can it be fixed is very closely aligned to like a sense of identity that is like existing in your shadow state. I mean, the mother is the idea of you cling to your children and find your identity out of them, or you trust that you've, you know, like taught them what they need to know and you release them. So it could be that you're dealing with something within the family, you know, like where there's a broken relationship and, you know, you're faced with the question of, do I, you know, like, is it my responsibility to do something in a role, you know, and not really knowing what to do. And I think wanting to rely on an instinct that maybe isn't always like it might be a gut instinct, but sometimes our knee-jerk reactions are the very reactions that we're trying to like move away from, right? If it's not with your family and it's with, I feel like maybe an ex, you know, ex-husbands or that resonates too, you know, but it's like you're, you know, like you're the father of your children or the mother of your children, you know what I mean? Like however it goes, however it plays out, if it's not your family, if it's, you know, just like somebody who was in your life who was really close and something really happens where you just feel like, you know, like, how do I deal with this situation? I just feel like there's this question of like, how do I deal with the situation and what's my knee-jerk reaction? And is my knee-jerk reaction the good reaction or the not good reaction? And the bridge and the flame, I mean, because I feel like there's an idea of like, there's something that like a goal that you have, like something that you're drawn to, someplace that you're trying to get. And whatever this like confusion is concerning like a role that you're in, you know, like, I almost feel like it's a push. You know what I'm saying though? Like, I feel like this confusion almost like sends you in a direction that feels like, you know, when you just can't deal, you know what I mean? Or you're just like there's everything in the world going on. And so you decide to focus on some random task that you've put off forever, because at least if you're focused on that, you don't have to focus on this. That is almost the energy that's present here, because I feel like whatever this like this point of judgment is, or this like, do I fix it and can I fix it and how do I fix it? It's almost like this look left, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, you know, you're like, oh, I'm gonna be drawn to this. I don't know how that will play out individually, because I feel like that could play out so many different ways. So we will do some clarifiers and see what we find out. Scorpios. The Four of Swords, the Devil, the Temperance, King of Cups, Six of Swords, Eight of Swords, Queen of Swords. Okay. Well, it does feel like whatever this confusion is, I think that it's determined that there was a lot of like manipulation involved with someone that really just needs to be laid to rest, you know, where it's just, and it's been in our reads for a while, right? Of just this idea of like somebody who's competing with us, who we feel like they don't always play fair, right? And I think that there's just an idea of saying, you know what, like your ability to skew things in your direction is no longer an option. Because I faced my fears and I let it go so that I could find my balance. I almost feel like saying, so I could fall in love with my life again, because it's exhausting when you feel like you're constantly trying to compete with somebody, whether it's a, well, you did this, so I'll show you, and da 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 da, you know, which if you're going through a divorce or you've been through a divorce or breakup, you know, like we all have been there. And I just kind of feel like there's this idea of like, no, I'm not going to fight that battle anymore. I'm going to, because it does feel almost like that, like the obligated role, right? Like when we get into, and you see it with anybody, with their family or with like past friendships, or, you know, like when we go back into those relationships, we snap back subconsciously into like the version of ourselves that we were with those people, you know? So like if it's an ex and you're competing over, well, who gets to see, you know, the kids win and da 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 da, and it's almost like this, okay, you know what, I'm not going to fight with you about this. You can, you know, like you set the terms. You know what I mean? Like you make that decision and I will move accordingly. And I feel like there's this sense of like facing that fear of almost like, I feel like it's almost like handing over your power, because that's the whole reason that we fight, right? That's the whole reason that we argue, is because it's like, this is my power and you don't get to take my power. And I almost feel like this sense of, it's really difficult to take someone's power when they're not fighting for it. You know, like if you're, especially if you're in an unhealthy relationship, and one of the things about unhealthy relationships is that they refuse to let go. And the way that they refuse to let go is to just keep fighting the fight, right? I'm just going to keep fighting with you. I'm just going to keep showing up and fighting with you, because as long as you're fighting with me, then we're still in this power control, you know, like this battle of power. And I feel like you're just kind of like, you know what? You can have your battle. You know, like that's your battle, not mine. And I'm not going to keep showing up for your battles. You know, like I'm going to, I feel like, release this idea of my role in this situation. And even though I think that scares you, I think that you know that it is your opportunity for freedom. Freedom from a vicious cycle. Freedom from, you know, like falling back into this role with this person, you know, just like it does feel very liberating. Because when you don't, you know, it's like if you're in a relationship and you're like, you fought, you said the same thing over and over and over again until you're like, you know what? Okay, you're right. I'm just going to go. You know, that's when you know it's really done too. The Queen of Pentacles, the King of Cups. You have the King of Cups twice. The Eight of Swords, life renewed, and the Four of Swords. Again, I feel like there's that energy of like, I know that dealing with you is dealing with confusion. And I know that like, this is a battle that will never win, that will never end, unless I just say, okay. You know, that's the only way to clear the confusion. That's the only way to, you know, like bring myself back to life. That's the only way to really, I feel like, step into the change of who you are, you know, because you've been evolving and you've been growing and you've been, you know, like trying to release old versions of yourself and step into new versions of yourself. And part of that, you know, like your last read was, you know, like staying in your lane. But I think that energy is here even still of like, okay, if that's your battle, not mine. And since that's your battle and not mine, I'm just going to go ahead and stay in my lane and go in my direction. And you know, you can do with all of this what you will. Because I don't want to keep perpetuating a cycle. And I feel like when you do that, you really do come into like an abundance. And I mean, the King of Cups twice, you've got the Queen of Swords and the Queen of Pentacles. There's a lot of elevated energy here. And I think that sometimes like the thing that elevates us the most is just that, like a release of a need to fight for the sake of fighting, because we're so used to fighting, right? And sometimes we just gotta let it go. Okay, Scorpio. the Justice, the Hermit, the Chariot, the High Priestess, the Empress. Damn, these are all majors. Scorps, love. But I do think that there's just been like a point in time where you've been like you had to just step away for a minute, you know, like you had to go through the process before you could really, I think, stand in your power and make decisions that like you did. There was no wavering on your decision to just move forward, to go in a new direction, to face your fears and see your way to the other side. I love that, Scorps. Okay, let's do one last card for y'all and we'll call it a read. The Warrior. Well, let's not end on that. But it is, though, like it fits into this perfectly because, I mean, the Warrior is the idea of like mind your battles. And I feel like that's just been a really difficult situation with this person that you're dealing with. It's like, I feel like this person just triggers you. You know what I mean? Like you can't not respond, you know, almost that like compulsive, like I just see like two people texting back and forth and there comes a point in time where you have to just put your phone down and just like walk away. You know what I mean? Because like if you're caught in that back and forth power struggle, you're never able to move forward. You're never able to like commit to anything else because all of your energy is focused on something that is just sucking the life out of you. You know, and that is not what you are loyal to. That is not your goal. You know what I mean? And sometimes we get hung up on something and it's really difficult to let it go. But I feel like this something that you've been hung up on has just reached like something happened that like sends you, you know, like that's the last fucking straw. I don't want to participate anymore. You know, I want to go towards what it is that I'm drawn to, that is worthy of my commitment, that is worthy of my time and energy and attention. And I release this, you know, and I love that. It's good. It's good. All right, Scorpios, if this does resonate with y'all, please give me a like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for being here with me, and I will see y'all again soon. Bye.